This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Morgan, Content Director for Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today we're talking with Kyle Gordon, Technical Support Supervisor from MAHLE Service Solutions. Kyle, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing excellent. And yourself?
Very good. I appreciate you taking the time. We're going to dive into some aftermarket and service-related discussions here, so let's just kick it off there. From your view, what is the outlook for the heavy-duty truck aftermarket and service sectors?
So, I mean, honestly, with the predictions and large growth coming in the heavy-duty market, it's a great thing coming on our end for our aftermarket. The other plus side is given heavy-duty in the kind of the way it operates, are usually 10 to 15 years behind kind of general sales of automotive market. So in the short term, we've got everything already developed and available for those heavy duty applications, kind of all the way across the market. So, it gives us time to focus on the growth side of it opposed to what we already have available. Most of the heavy duty applications also utilize similar systems to what we already have, whether it be AC, transmission, cooling systems, which is our kind of forte on my end. But even with our partnership with Gray Manufacturing, we provide, the mobile column lifts and jacks and a plethora of other tools to help them, move along and still have that high capability, high quality, and ease of making the technician's job nice and simple. Not to try to let anybody down is our ultimate goal.
Okay, so definitely important to be able to service those trucks. We've seen a dip on the new truck sales. We've seen increases in service demands across service providers. And something you mentioned there on the AC, I can definitely feel the heat increasing here as we get in the summer, making sure AC maintenance and HVAC maintenance on the vehicle is complete. Let's dive into that service process. What are you working on to make sure that you can give technicians the information they need to be able to diagnose and troubleshoot and fix those AC service issues?
Yeah. So when it comes to our machines, the good thing is they are fully automatic machines where they can go through and not only recover, vacuum, recharge a system, but we're also capable of doing pressure checks and things which can help diagnose, a lot of different vehicle issues based on the pressure readings that it's showing. And as an end goal, we would have, updates available with our machines, which are all Wi-Fi capable, in order to be able to add, these are the pressures you're seeing. These are very high probabilities of the issue you're having. And it will help technicians with diagnostics because some of these systems are large. And when you start to get a front and rear ACs and all those lines and everything else, sometimes it can be pretty tough to find those leaks, even with dies and leak detectors.
Right, so I mentioned that equates to maybe speeding up the service process, getting throughput in that bay, and then addressing the issue so that there aren't any comebacks and those drivers are staying cool out on the road.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are pressed for time, and it's all about getting that car out as quick and easy as possible and making sure it doesn't come back so they don't have to, waste time diagnosing something and potentially even at no cost, which is not what anybody wants. So yeah, we're trying to definitely make sure that doesn't occur.
For sure. Another service trend that we've been tracking a lot is revolving around transmissions. And then on the light duty side, right, we get into automatic transmissions. And we've been seeing more about automatic transmission fluid changes, flushes, that kind of thing, which I feel like, at least for me historically, these things have kind of been don't touch it, no maintenance, those kind and that. But as the automatic transmission technology has increased, we see the need for these ATF flushes. What's at risk for fleets that overlook an ATF change, and what is that process like?
So I think, automatic trans flushes in general have been something that have been overlooked. When it comes to any vehicle, new fluid is going to be better than old fluid. It doesn't matter what part of that, system it is, transmission, axle, transfer cases, and, the engine itself. The fluids and needing to be changed is a very important thing. If you look at a lot of transmission manufacturers, most of them will say between 30 and 60,000 miles, you should change the fluid. And, at the end of the day, that's all a long-term benefit for the customer. It's going to last longer. They're going to have less potential for failure. Extremely expensive, costs. You look at what it costs nowadays to rebuild or replace a transmission. And these fleets also being down in the vehicle because they're having repairs done. The service itself is almost, in our opinion, it's a key factor to keeping that vehicle up and running properly.
Yeah, very good. What is MAHLE working on in the world of automatic transmission fluid changes?
So the main thing that we're working on is we've continued to advance our machines. We just released a couple of years ago a new ATX 280, which is our top of the line machine. It actually utilizes the same type of software as our AC machines. So it makes it so the consumer can go in and select what kind of service they're going to do. If they're going to remove the pan or leave the pan on, if they want to go through a dipstick mode, if it's available on that vehicle, they can, or even through the cooler lines. And the machine's going to monitor everything and allow the fluid to flow the way it's supposed to, and let them service that transmission as quick as possible.
Perfect, very good. And going back to it too, I mean, to your point, the ATF allows those smooth gear changes and all the equipment to operate. Overlooking that, it does degrade and it can impact that transmission operation. Definitely costly if you don't look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. And, it's wear and tear. You're always going to have, the friction and clutch discs and things like that inside of a transmission that are going to, wear out, and that's locked inside that transmission, and it gets into that pan and, I should say the filter. But, it's only going to be capable of taking on so much before even that filter is, potentially blocked up and restricting flow. And, once that starts happening, now you might get those harder shifts, and it could put extra wear on the gears inside there and other things. And that's, for a long term, not going to be an ideal situation for that consumer or fleet customer.
Right. And as you mentioned too, so many times in vehicle maintenance, it goes back to those recommended maintenance intervals, making sure you're paying attention to those and getting the work done when it's recommended. Yep,
exactly. Best case scenario, I say, fluid's cheap. Repairs are very expensive nowadays. So if you can, spend a little bit more taking care of it and maintaining it, if it saves you, thousands in the long run, it's only good, for us and consumers. So that's what we try to push and what we want to help with on our end.
Very good. Kyle, I appreciate you taking the time. I learned a bunch. I'm sure we'll talk to you again very soon.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. I appreciate it.